Vanakkam. Today we are going to see a very important circular issued by Reserve Bank of India on digital lending, because a lot of frauds that have been taken place in digital lending. So to regularize that, who is authorized to do digital lending, everything is being clearly defined by RBI in this circular. For this, please refer circular number RBI slash 2223 66 dated 2/9/2022. Here I have given my views. Please, for detailed discussion, please go and refer the circular dated 2/9/2022. It is the guideline issued for the outsourcing loans. Sometimes the bankers, sometimes they are getting the loan directly. Sometimes in order to have very good business, they do this thing through digital marketing also. So digital lending, that is called as digital lending through apps, and sometimes it will be recovered. It will be introduced by loan service providers. So this is applicable for the existing customers. In case if they want to avail a fresh loan also, it is possible. And in case if there is a new customer, they can also use this concept of digital lending. So this is also possible. So for the existing customer, if they want to go for fresh loans, they can use this loan of digital lending. In case new customers are there and they want to avail the loan, they can also use the service of digital lending. And for smooth sailing, everything has to be settled by the banks or regulated entities on or before 30/11/2022. That is, RBI has given time till 30/11/2022. And what are the scopes of application to whom this digital lending is applicable? It is applicable for all commercial banks, for primary cooperative banks, state cooperative banks, district central cooperative banks. So they can do the business through digital lending. That is the permitted lending by the Reserve Bank of India and by NBFC, which includes housing financing companies. All these banks, all these group 1, 2, 3, they are eligible to be governed by the RBI circular when they give the business, when they give the loan through digital lending. What are the important terms that you should know? RE means regulated entities. Regulated entities, they are, as present, it is said by RBI as banks, NBFC, system participant as defined in a scheme as said by RBI, and annual percentage rate. This is inclusive of interest rate plus all the charges, everything they will it will be included in the percentage APR, and it excludes the penal charges. That is, contingent charges have been excluded, like penal charges, late payment charges, that will not form part of the APR. So when I said RE means regulated entities, when I said APR means annual percentage rate. Next important term is cooling off period or lock-in period. Sometimes some borrowers, they have entered into the digital lending and suddenly they want to leave, or suddenly they want to pre-close the loan, they want to go out of this digital lending concept. So for that, there's a time frame that's being defined by the RBI through this circular. That is, in case if the loan tenor is 7 days or more, the borrower can leave from this digital lending concept within 3 days and without any penal charges. And if the loan period tenor is less than 7 days, then the borrower, they can leave this digital lending concept within 1 day. So that means even without paying the penal interest, this is the concept. So in case if the borrower, they want to leave this digital lending concept by paying penal charges, that is in the form of pre-closure charges, they can go out of this digital lending. But cooling off period is said that it's a time frame as defined by the RBI. And digital lending, this is nothing but on the loan is being sanctioned because there is no direct contact between the RE, regulated entities, and the borrower, but everything is done through the app. So it's a remote automated lending process. And by using digital technologies, that is by getting the customer information, credit assessment, loan approval, disbursement, recovery, and associated customer service, everything is done digitally, and there is no direct contact between the digital lending, by the regulated entities and the borrower. So every loan is being dispersed in the form of digital lending. So next important term that you must know is DLA, that is Digital Lend App. So for digital lending, there is a separate app. So that has to be framed by regulated entities subject to RBI terms and conditions. This app is applicable, can be operable through mobile data, through mobile and web-based applications. So with this, there is a correspondence between the borrower and regulated entities, and this app should be in conformity with the guidelines issued by the RBI. This is a very, very important thing that one must understand. And the apps of regulated entity lending service providers are used. So only the apps permitted by regulated entities are used by the regulated entities or by the LSP, that is lending service providers. They can use the apps, thereby they can get the business through the digital lending. Who are all called as LSP, that is lending service provider. They are the agents appointed by the regulated entities. Otherwise, they are the outsourcing purpose appointed by the regulated entities to procure the business for regulated entities. So that means they are all called as authorized agents, and there are norms based on which they are appointing. This is also another professional opportunity available to the chartered accountants. Even you can be a regulated agent of regulated entity as a lending service provider. This is nothing but direct selling agent. There's another concept called as direct selling agent, but with reference to digital lending, they are terming this as lending service provider. LSV carries on the customer acquisition. He is the person who has go to the customer. He is getting the business and underwriting concept. What are the terms and conditions he has to write? What is the pricing, support, servicing, monitoring, recovery of specific loan portfolio on behalf of the regulated entity. It is acting on behalf of the regulated entities, and all the acts of the LSP should be in conformity with the RBI guidelines. So that means the RE has to appoint regulated entity. They have to appoint the LSP, and they should act only according to the guidelines issued by the RBI. So here the loan is being disbursed by the regulated entities directly to the borrower and not through anyone. And in case if they want to sanction the loan or release the loan through someone, it should be authorized by the government, should be as per the direction of the statutory authorities or regulatory authorities. In case if that is there, then regulated entity can sanction the loan to some other person, but otherwise all the regulated entities, they have to sanction the loan only to the borrower's account directly, and it should not be in the name of other person. It should be in the name of the other person. It should be as per the statutory requirement or regulatory requirement, and the loan should be direct. In case if there is any machinery, the loan should pass on to the beneficiary account. Though the loan is sanctioned on behalf of the borrower, the beneficiary account should be directly given credit by the regulated entities, and it should not be routed through some other person. That is in the form of the amount should not be transferred to LSP's account. From there, the amount should not be released. So this is a very, very important thing. Regulated entities, they have to sanction the loan, and they have to sanction the loan directly to the customer's account. And in case from the customer's account, they have to release to the end beneficiary. So this is a very, very important thing, and there should not be no third party interference into the account. In case if the money has to be repaid by the borrower to the bank, it has to be directly it has to come only to the regulated entity account and not through some other person's account, say such as the LSP account. Loan service provider, he should not be authorized. He is not authorized to receive the money. So penal interest and charges, if anything, have to be levied only on the outstanding balance. First thing, the fees and charges have to be directly come to the RE's regulated entities account, and it should not be on the LSP account. And second point is, in case if there is any penal interest and charges, it has to be done on the outstanding balance and not on the sanction amount. This is a very, very important thing. Not only here, any loan, the penal interest or charges have to be levied only on the outstanding balance. It should be, penal interest should be disclosed in advance. So this is a very, very important thing. All the terms and conditions, this is APR, this is the penal interest, this is the conditions, everything should be immediately, should be disclosed to the borrower upfront. And this will be clearly mentioned in the key fact statement. It is nothing but the terms and conditions. Key fact statement, it contains all the details of the all loans, all loan products. That is key fact statement. Everything should be clearly mentioned in the key fact statement. If it is not mentioned, then the borrower is not responsible. So that means if the regulated entities, they want to recover, everything should be properly, clearly mentioned and informed to the borrower upfront. So annual percentage rate, what is APR? That is annualized rate and all collection charges, which excludes the contingent rate. So it should be clearly mentioned in the key fact statement. Before execution of the contract, KFS has to be submitted to the borrower in the prescribed format. That is, key fact statement should be submitted to the borrower to get this acceptance. Then only the loan will be released. So this is a very, very important thing that in case if any bankers, they are doing the digital lending, they have to follow this. And fees and charges, if it is not mentioned in the key fact statement, then you cannot charge, you cannot collect the same from the borrower by the regulated entities. So the regulated entities, they have to give the key fact statement, the prescribed format. All the points should be properly mentioned in the key fact statement. What are the contents that the key fact statement should normally contain? Is loan amount, total interest, other upfront charges, processing fee, insurance, and other points. And the other point means if there is any specific condition, that has to be clearly mentioned in the key fact statement. Net disbursed amount, total amount to be paid by the borrower, annual percentage rate, tenor of the loan, repayment and frequency of the borrower. That is whether the loan has to be paid within a quarterly basis, or half yearly basis, or monthly basis, and on which date they have to pay. Everything has to be clearly mentioned, the key fact statement, number of installments and the amount of installments. And details of contingent charges, we already said what are the contingent charges. Contingent charges, it is nothing but penal charges and late payment charges. And if there is anything that has to be disclosed in the key fact statement, that is also there. 1.1 has to remember that, please, if it is not mentioned in the KFS, one cannot, that is banker cannot levy the charges once again on the customer. It's a very, very important thing. And all the loans should be digitally signed. There should not be no direct sanction to the borrower. So on the letterhead of the regulated entities, the loan details, loan terms and conditions have to be communicated to the borrower, and the sanction letter is being automatically picked up from the system. That is, it is automatically, it has to go to the borrower. And with reference to summary of loan products, the sanction letter, terms and conditions, account statement, privacy policies of the LSPs and DLS with respect to the borrower's statement, every data should be clearly mentioned in the KFS. And what are who are all called as the LSP? LSP, that is lending service provider, they are nothing but the agents of the regulated entities. Then RE, that is regulated entities, first they have to publish, this is the app. The app is called as digital lending app. See, the following persons are our lending service providers. So all the details should be clearly mentioned in the website of the regulated entities. So app should be clearly mentioned, and directly if you click the app, you will get the link. If you go and search for the list LSP, because whether this person is an authorized person of that lending institution, that is regulated entities, yes, if that is that, then the borrower can, without any fear, they can move with the LSP, and everything should be clearly mentioned in the key fact statement. Regarding product, so what are the products? Even everything should be properly disclosed in the website. So regulated entities have to ensure that the DL, that is apps and LSPs who are all using that apps, they must understand what are the products, nothing but loan details, that is loan schemes of the particular regulated entity should be clearly mentioned in the this website. And it should be properly display information regarding product feature, loan amount, cost. So this is the loan, this is the eligibility amount. For this, you have to give the following securities. For this is the terms and conditions. This is the cost for this against which this is the APR, for that you have to pay. And this will create an awareness on the borrowers. That means if there is any awareness, that will be clearly mentioned it will create an awareness on the borrower that this is the rules and regulations. Then next one is now the regulated entities, they have to recover the amount. So all the details should also be contained in that website. So at the time of sanction of the loan, what is the responsibility of the borrower to make the payment, that has to be clearly mentioned, and who are all eligible to collect the money, that is from the borrower to the regulated entities, that has also to be clearly mentioned in the website. So the details of LSP acting as recovery agent who is authorized to approach the borrower for recovery. So who is authorized to go and recover the amount? That has also to be clearly mentioned. That has to be clearly mentioned in the KF, that is key fact statement, and this has to be properly communicated to the borrower. So this is also to be informed in the KFS, key fact statement. So that regarding recovery details also should be clearly mentioned, because somebody should not go there and threaten the borrower to make the payment. All this should be directly linked to the website. That is, regulated entities, if they click the website, and it will lead to the link, and by clicking the link, it will lead to the app. It will automatically lead to the loan service providers. Everybody should be clearly mentioned in the website by way of a link. And regarding the loan products, the lender, LSP, particulars of customer care, link to Sachet portal, privacy policy has to be assessed by the borrower. So that means the home page. In the all home page, everything should be properly mentioned, and all the details should be properly mentioned at the website. So if in case any borrower wants to search and wants to get any information, it should be properly get from the website. In case if there is any problem with the DLA, that is digital lending app, or if there is any problem with the regulated entity, and in case if there is any problem with the loan service providers, they can make a complaint to the grievance redressal officer. This grievance redressal officer is being appointed by the regulated entities to deal with all these complaints made against the DLS, regulated entities, and LSPs. And the contact detail, that is name and address of the nodal officer, is contact number, mail ID, everything has to be clearly mentioned in the website itself. So that means website is the base based on which the digital lending is being done, and all the details should be there in the website. In case somebody has made some grievances against the DLAs, regulated entities, LSVs, all the grievances should also be displayed in the website. This is a very, very important thing. This should be properly displayed in the website. And if there is any complaint lodged against the regulated entities or LSVs, and if they are not resolved by the grievance redressal officer within 30 days of making the complaint, then the same complaint, the borrower has got the right to make to Reserve Bank integrated ombudsman scheme. Under that scheme, they can directly make a complaint to Reserve Bank integrated ombudsman scheme. So this is a very, very important thing. Regarding grievances also we have seen. Next one is you have to assess the borrower's credit worthiness. So whenever the borrower feds the details in the app, automatically that app should properly assess the credit worthiness of the borrower. So for that, the regulated entities, they have to capture the economic profile of the borrowers regarding age, occupation, income before extending the loan, and the same is required to assess the credit worthiness in an auditable way. That means automatically it should be. So what is the income computation? That is what is the eligibility for the income that is being filed before the income tax authorities? What is the basis to arrive at the income? What is the basis to arrive at the credit calculation? Everything should be properly and automatically been designed in the app. If in case if the bankers, if the regulated entities, they want to increase the loan, they can do it, but it should be that means the regulated entities, they have to go and get the consent of the borrower. Without getting the consent, it is not possible. So automatically regulated entities cannot increase the loan. And cooling off period, this is suppose in case if the borrower they want to go away from the loan, it is also permitted without paying penal interest. The tenor is That is, if the tenor is 7 days or more, then within 3 days, they can go out without paying any penal interest. And if it is 1 day, if the loan tenor is less than 7 days. So this has to be followed as per the RBI guidelines. That means without paying the penal interest in the form of prepayment charges, this is the rule. And in case if the borrower wants to leave, after that also it is there. This is also permitted, but the borrower has to pay the penal interest. And due diligence have to be conducted, because regulated entities, they have to appoint the loan service provider. So when they want to appoint the loan service providers, and before giving the appointment and before entering into any agreement, before entering into any partnership with the LSP, the regulated entities have to conduct the due diligence on the LSP. So for this, whether the LSP has got the technical abilities, capacity, whether it is possible for the LSP to maintain the data privacy policy and storage systems, and is there that is about the contact of the LSP with the borrowers. Suppose in case they are not supposed to go and have some mutual understanding with the borrower, it should not be there. So everything has to be dealt properly before giving the LSP appointment. And here I want to once again say that anybody who wants to act as LSP can approach the regulated entity, and they will be given with the post of LSP, loan service provider, and ability to comply with the rules and regulations. This is very, very important, because all the LSP, that is loan service providers, they must follow the rules and regulations of the country, laws of the country. Next one is, after that, they have been all the LSPs, they have been appointed by the regulated entities. Then after that, the regulated entities, they have to make the periodic review. They have to make the periodic review. So periodic review is very, very important. Any appointment, not only LSP, anybody who acts as on behalf of you. So once in a quarter, once in 6 months, every periodic review should be conducted. So here, the regulated entities, they have to conduct the periodic review on the LSP based on the decision direction given by the board about the periodic review period. And the LSPs, they have to follow the rules and regulations of your bank, that is regulated entities. So they must be given with a proper training by the regulated entity. Who has to give it? It's a regulated entities. They have to give the proper training to the LSP to act as recovery agent. To give the loan also, they have to be given proper training to act as recovery. With in what form you have to make the recovery, every training has to be imparted, has to be given by the regulated entities on LSP. And the regulated entities, they have to maintain the secrecy of the borrower. They should not use the data of the borrower for any other purpose. If at all, if anybody wants the details of the borrower, then regulated entities, they have to get the information or permission from they have to get the permission from the borrower to share the information. This is very, very important. These things are I have given here. I've just discussed the importance of digital lending, because now RBI has given importance to digital lending. What are the procedures to be followed? Everything I have stated here. Here, I want to share one of the very big opportunities available to the persons who are viewing this. They can also become the LSP, loan service provider. So if that is, if you want to give any employment, or if you want to create any employment opportunities, you can use this, but they should be subject to the RBI circular dated 2/9/2022. With this, I am just completing the presentation on this digital lending. And once again, I thank you everyone for watching my presentation on RBI circular on digital lending. Nandri, Vanakkam.